You're listening to the Trade Show Insights Podcast, Season 10, Episode 7. I'm your host and exhibit marketing strategist, Marlis Arnold, bringing you tools to improve your exhibit results. On today's Trailblazer episode, we're going behind the scenes with one of the largest shows in the U.S. to discover how they're no longer thinking of themselves just as a one-week event, but their goal is to become an industry resource all the time, with content and tools for both exhibitors and attendees to help them move their businesses and ultimately the industry forward.
Today's guest is from the International Manufacturing Technology Show, better known as IMTS. It's the largest industrial trade show in North America, which takes place in Chicago in even-numbered years. And last year, it ranked number 3 on the list of TSNN's top 250 U.S. trade shows. Peter Eelman's involvement with IMTS started more than 30 years ago, first as an exhibitor and then as a consultant. And then in 1996, he joined the team at the Association for Manufacturing Technology, or AMT, which is the producer of IMTS, to oversee the exhibitions department, and was promoted to Vice President of Exhibitions and Communications in January of 2009. In addition to his leadership role with IMTS, Peter also serves on the board of directors at the Exhibit and Event Marketers Association, or E2MA, and the Metropolitan Peer and Exposition Authority Labor Council in Chicago. He's the show's key liaison with the Chicago Convention and Tourism Bureau, the Metropolitan Peer and Exposition Authority, McCormick Place, as well as the various vendors, service providers, and trade unions involved in the entire show process. He participated in the recent negotiation that led to the historic labor and management reform in Chicago. And in addition to IMTS, he's also prominently involved in international shows which take place in Asia, Europe, South America, and elsewhere. So thank you so much, Peter, for taking time out of all these busy responsibilities you have to be with us here as one of our Trailblazer guests.
Well, thank you, Marlise. It's a pleasure to be with you, and just listing through all that, I almost got tired listening of all those things. But one of them is it's a good thing we're talking today because I'm actually leaving for China tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
We are about to produce an AMT USA pavilion at the CIMT, or China International Machine Tool Show, in Beijing. It opens next Monday.
Wow. Wow, yeah, it is amazing to hear about all the different international shows that AMT is involved with. I know you guys, since IMTS is just in every other year, that's not to say you guys aren't involved in a lot of other things in the off years as well. So, in fact, when Andrew and I were talking previously, we were laughing about I don't know how you get it all done, even though you have 2 years in between the show cycle.
Yeah, well, it's a big project. IMTS itself, I think, It really is a all-consuming project. Everything else that we do in addition to it is really on top of, and that's really why we've been able to grow and keep a very effective staff, both in communications and in exhibitions. I actually have been the head of exhibitions since 1996. I added communications in 2009 to my kind of portfolio. And now we actually handle all of the marketing and external communications for AMT as well as just for IMTS in the trade show world.
Well, and since we started off with the concept of communications, let's talk a little bit about, because you have what's called IMTS-TV. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of shows are doing like on-site TV channels, I guess you would say. But in addition to just using it as a way to inform your exhibitors and attendees during the show, you also use it as an ongoing communication tool in between the show cycle, which obviously, since they're 2 years apart, you've really got to do a lot of that in-between communication. So can you talk a little bit about not only IMTS-TV, obviously, but some of your communication methods and how you keep that momentum going between shows?
Well, quite simply, when we look at doing anything for IMTS, our first question is it 24 months? Because no project that we work on, no project that we involved in IMTS is meant to be just for the 6 days of IMTS.
Right.
We got out of that mindset years ago. IMTS is not a 6-day event. It is a 2-year event fully. And when you think about things in that context, it really helps in your decision-making process on where to go. It really fed the original design and now an updated design, which we actually announced and unveiled this week, of our IMTS.com website, which is, if you look at it, it's far from a trade show website. It's an industry website that, oh, by the way, carries the name of a trade show.
Mm-hmm.
It's on a daily basis. It's a information resource. It's a research tool. It's many, many, many things in addition to being a trade show website. And as a part of that, one of the outlets in there is the IMTS-TV, which we house primarily on the IMTS.com website, but you can also find all of our episodes in that on YouTube and all of the social media channels. Mm-hmm. But just looking at IMTS-TV, to give you an example, when we started to think of that as more than just a trade show event TV station, which I know there's plenty of those out there, we started to look at, okay, well, what could we do that would be of interest to the industry? And as attention spans and everything else has come down, we've done a wide variety of little snippets and reports from industry events, from news-making items. We'll grab something right here when we have someone here at AMT visiting that's got an interesting story to tell. We built our own small studio right here at AMT. We run people downstairs, do a 5-minute interview, and we've got it up on IMTS-TV a couple of days later or even that same day if it's really breaking news.
Oh, neat.
So what that's done is it's allowed the IMTS-TV to have a life. And as time has gone on, we've developed it into an almost anything goes station where you don't know from one report to the next whether you're going to get hard news, a little bit of fun, some on-site reporting, and it has generated a tremendous interest to keep things fresh over the 2 years. We try to look at events and go to things that maybe the average person who uses IMTS.com to do research or look things up, he or she may not be able to do some of the things we're able to do. For example, this September, or it's October, first week in October, we'll be taking our IMTS-TV crew over to the EMO show in Milan, Italy.
Oh, wow.
That is kind of our European counterpart, if you will, of IMTS. So a lot of folks don't get to go there. So we'll go over there and we'll get the pulse of what's going on at the show from an industry standpoint, much the same as we would do for IMTS. We'll interview some of our members. We'll go find the coolest applications. We'll, put some things on screen that are in that category. But we'll also, we'll go around Milan and we'll take a few shots from restaurants and interview a few people in the street. And you never know what's going to come up next. We did this a couple of years ago in Germany, and one of the episodes was at the German beer hall that's at the showgrounds, and we went behind the scenes and found the waitresses how they're able to hold the 20 beers in each hand kind of deal. And, it's created an interest in our product far beyond you just go there because it's a trade show kind of thing.
Well, and another series that you did, I think it was for the 2012 show, where you personally did a series of videos on what to do in Chicago and how to get around. And we did that. Yes, we did. That was fun. We picked several restaurants, thinking that a lot of folks come into town and they may or may not be regular Chicago visitors.
So they may know one or two restaurants they've been to, but it's kind of interesting to open it up a little for folks and say, yeah, I've seen that place. That's my kind of place. I'd like to try it. So we did about a dozen restaurants in just a quick look, and is this your style, that type of thing. And then we went for some kind of serious things that folks, we took the travel experience. And when you travel to a new city and you don't know where you're going, sometimes that can be confusing. Mm-hmm. So we actually put the camera in the car and we drove to the McCormick Place parking lots and walked folks through, okay, when you get here, you're going to take this exit, and you're going to go down this ramp, and you're going to have $20 because you got to pay this guy here. And then when you park, you're going to walk out and get the bus right here.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's very smart that you are looking at it as a key information tool, and like you said, it's not just for those 6 days, it's for all the time, anytime. So I think a lot of shows are not looking at themselves as content producers and media companies, and I love the fact that IMTS has just embraced that and ran with it.
It's our way of doing everything. Our boss here, we try to do everything here at AMT not like a trade association, and I try to do everything at IMTS not like a trade show. I think those two categories can be very confining, mm-hmm. and so our philosophy is to abandon that confining feeling and just say, you know what, we're looking at a business opportunity, and if you look at it in the continuum of that, neither the trade association model nor the trade show model really fits. So you have to find ways to make them fit. And that's with our ongoing communications, the tools that we provide, the training that we provide as a part of the IMTS package for exhibitors. We put those things in for a very good reason. We want people thinking about IMTS as their resource all the time, mm-hmm. not just during the show time.
Well, and like you said, you've become more of a partner to your exhibitors. And one of those things you mentioned briefly is what you call spring training for your exhibitors, which I'll share with listeners. I had the opportunity several years ago. That's how I first got acquainted with Peter. I was part of the entourage that traveled around the country, and we did 6 cities in 10 days and did this intense exhibitor training. I know you've changed it up a little bit since then, but tell us a little bit about what spring training is like for your exhibitors.
Well, this is something where it's almost a combination of the training trip that you had joined us on, and a new idea that we've had. Keep in mind the training tour that Marlise and I orchestrated, the 6 cities in 10 days. That was in the show year, and it was very focused on that, getting ready for that particular show, that particular time. Mm-hmm. Now thinking again, as we back up and look at IMTS in the continuum that we've been chatting about so far on this interview, there'd be no reason to look at anything for IMTS this year. There isn't even an IMTS this year. The next IMTS is next September, 2016. So what do we do to make things important, interesting, and useful for our IMTS family, if you will, in this period of time? Well, we came up with IMTS Spring Training, and what we're doing here, we've cut a city. Marley, she'd love this. We're down to 5 on this tour. It's Chicago, Detroit, Philadelphia, Providence, and Cincinnati.
And you're not doing it in February either, which is
no. That's right. You got the joy of traveling in the winter, but we're doing it more or less from the end of April till about mid-May, spreading it out a little bit. And this is really focused on the IMTS tools that help you in the continuum, not only at IMTS. Mm-hmm. The spring training sessions are a couple of hours. They're not a full, heavy-duty commitment. We take it into a city. We'll do a quick breakfast and coffee, couple of hours of presentation, and get everyone on their way so they're not missing a full day of work. And what we're focusing on in this one, the first topic is what we call the IMTS Exhibitor Passport, which is a comprehensive business intelligence tool that exhibitors can use. They purchase it for about $2,000. It includes all of the IMTS visitors in a email tool format, in a sortable format. It's about marketing. And this entire training tour in the day is about marketing your product to the industry that IMTS is involved in, the manufacturing technology industry. We feature the exhibitor passport for about an hour, explain how to use it, explain the advantages that you gain by using it in more than just the show year. And then we spend an hour talking about early prep, budgeting, and in fact, a big part of this IMTS Exhibitor Passport is a budget tool that's absolutely the best thing I've ever seen for a do-it-yourself budget, and that resides within the IMTS Exhibitor Passport. So we've got a bunch of things put together in a couple of hours to help just get over that hump of, well, I've got a budget this year. How do I do it? Well, this is a good time to start. April and May, you're still in advance of the curve. Most people, they're not budgeting till the end of the summer or later in the year, so they get some tools to work with. And again, in the continuum, we are continuing to do the full exhibitor workshop in the show year. This year, we're going to do it as a 2-day event in Chicago. When you joined us, we went all around the country. It was some tough times, and people had a hard time traveling. Times are a little bit less tough right now, and this is going to enable us to really, really put a tremendous session together. It's going to be January 25th and 26th of next year, and we are going to line up a top line of exhibiting marketing professionals, and our vendors are going to do a display. And we're going to invite all the exhibitors to that. And then we are going on a little bit of a tour. We're going to take our show to China and do a couple of training sessions in Beijing and Shanghai for our growing Chinese exhibitor contingent. 2 reasons for that. One, to help them come to the show and understand what they're doing. And also, for our IMTS, we want to go and teach them how to exhibit in Chicago, in our environment, and keep the IMTS experience at a high level. Right.
Well, because it is culture shock for them coming over here.
Absolutely, and there are some companies that get it and really understand it, some that come and kind of exhibit the way they're used to exhibiting in small towns in China, and they need to learn early on that not only won't be successful for them, it won't fit with our goals for IMTS.
Well, I think it's awesome. One of the things it was an experience I'll never forget doing the roadshow, but I love the fact that you're bringing everybody to Chicago for the training next year, because that does give the opportunity, like you said, to have it more concentrated, to also, they'll be on site, they'll be able, if they're first-time exhibitors, they'll be able to see the facility and get a better feel for things. So I love when I see shows that are doing that, and more shows are moving towards doing some kind of what I call exhibitor education day, and really having that.
It's so important, training. Don't you?
Yeah.
I think that, it's easy to assume, well, everybody knows how to do a trade show. No, that's not only not true. Even if you do know, some of our most satisfied, when we do our post-event surveys from the workshops and then going into the show, it's virtually unanimous that if you go to the workshops, you go to the spring training, you use some of our online tools, which we didn't even mention. We do 2 webinars a month. We do an ongoing education series that you can subscribe to off the website. If you take advantage of these tools, you're going to be much more successful at IMTS than someone who doesn't. Mm-hmm. So why wouldn't you? None of it costs anything. It's all part of the package. The only thing that's in addition is when you want to subscribe to the exhibitor passport, and that gives you access to the IMTS visitor database, which is a fraction of what you'd pay to rent the list just one time.
Well, and like you said, it's all, they can pick and choose if they don't want to do everything, but you've given them a lot of different options of different kinds of training and different tools that they can take advantage of. I want
kind of on demand too, and that goes back to what we were saying, that IMTS is a continuum, and if you are in a position that you have a trade show question in July of this year, I want you to think about asking us or consulting our website rather than someone else's.
Mm-hmm. Well, or rather than waiting until the last minute and then contacting you, making it an ongoing open communication.
Precisely.
So I want to shift gears a little bit here because, obviously your show is on a scale that most show organizers don't have a lot of the same kinds of problems you have because you've got this massive show floor. What are you at, like 1.2, 1.3 million square feet?
We think we'll hit 1.3 in 2016.
And you've got over 2,000 exhibitors. You fill all of McCormick Place. So that presents challenges as far as just driving traffic. And I know that was a big part of what we talked about when I traveled with you on the road show. But can you share with us some of the different things and the tools and things that you've used to help drive traffic to the various parts of the show? I know IMTS-TV helps with that, but what are some other things that you're doing?
Well, just to take a broad brush, one of the things that we've done at the show is to do a comprehensive study of how to categorize product. We don't attempt to force visitors to do things. We give them options. If you're in a hurry and you come to IMTS and you need to find a certain amount of things, it's easy for you to organize your visit to do that. And I think visitors respect that.
Oh, definitely. Because there's no way they can cover all of that square footage.
No. And you certainly wouldn't be able to cover it in a kind of a hunt and peck method. Mm-hmm. You need to know what you need to see. Then, and this is where I think we've had a really big breakthrough, is that we are able to create things throughout the show that have such an interest that once you come and you achieve what you want to do, you stay longer to go see the rest of it. Mm-hmm. We strive to have excitement in every hall, and that excitement can be a new manufacturing technique, something unusual, a one-of-a-kind display, something that you try yourself, something to do with the student aspect of things. We spread out our attractions that AMT puts together, and we decided years ago that, and I'm struggling to get the exact year, I believe we first put it in 2002 or 2000. I'm getting old, my memory's not what it used to be. But we noticed that there were things that the industry traditionally, when I was much younger and as an exhibitor, I would see companies bringing things that were very cutting edge even before they were ever introduced. Mm-hmm. And over time, one of the things that, and I think we're partially guilty of it as trade show folks, is we started training people to use every square inch to get more sales. Every square inch of your booth should be dedicated to sales. And what we found over the years is that companies began to get less and less open about what was in development and more into what are you going to buy today. And we didn't want to lose that element, and we wanted to start encouraging it to come back to the show. And we started by putting together a display area called the Emerging Technology Center. And in that, we, AMT, as the owners and operators of IMTS, identified key trends, key technologies that were out there. And we invited companies at no expense to them to come and put a display together with us to display new technology and exciting developments in the industry. That started with a little bit of robotics. It moved through micro manufacturing, and it's gotten more and more exciting. It's spawned a rebirth of companies doing the same thing. So whereas IMTS was, I don't want to say stagnating, but it was getting a bit more commercial than technology. Now it's all technology. And I think we really crossed a river last time in our Emerging Technology Center's first ever 3D printed automobile.
I was going to bring that up. I've seen the video online, and we'll include a link to that in the show notes as well. but that was amazing.
That really, really changed the game. Truthfully, it's been nonstop since IMTS. That event, that singular event, has reawakened a lot of people's interest in manufacturing, a lot of curiosity about what the future might hold. It's exactly what we'd hoped for in the emerging technology world. We basically, on day one of the show, we had, in the months prior, we had put together a national laboratory, a small innovative car manufacturer, Local Motors, out of Phoenix, Arizona, the national labs, and some groups out of Cincinnati that build the machinery, and said, let's try this. And they put together some ideas. We worked up a project. We tested it just a few weeks before the show. Never actually did the job, just did the theory, and said, let's go. And on opening morning of IMTS, we began 3D printing the tub, if you will, of an automobile. About halfway through the show, we finished that, brought it over to another area to put on wheels and steering wheels and windshield and all that sort of thing while we printed a second one. And on the final morning of the show, it was an electric car. We started it up and drove it out of McCormick Place.
Wow.
So it was from nothing to a fully functional car in 6 days, and it was the first ever 3D printed car. So that not only hit the home run of publicity for the show and excitement among the exhibitors, but once we walked out of there, the world found out about it. A month after the show, we were invited to New York, and we appeared on the Today Show. And that has not stopped since. We had the car last month in March. We had the 3D printed car at our annual manufacturing meeting of multiple associations in Florida. It was the number one thing. Everyone wanted to get their picture taken with it, learn the story. And I think the lesson in there is that everyone wants to identify in an industry that they do something cool and interesting. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you how gratifying it is to hear people say, yeah, I went times, that's where we built the car. Suddenly it's become we. The industry is we. Mm-hmm. Everyone has a feel that they are a part of this. And that's gratifying, and I think very exciting for the future, because as we look ahead now, we're getting a load of people kicking in ideas saying, I wonder if you could do that. I wonder if you could do this. And we're doing it together. There's excitement about being in manufacturing. I love it. Yeah, and I mean, not to sound bad, but manufacturing is not necessarily always considered the most exciting field by a lot of people. So it's been very difficult to break through and even within the industry. I think even within the industry, we have a problem where folks know that what they make is important, but they have a difficult time connecting that little piece that they make on their machine, and I'm talking from an operator to a designer to a company that makes it, that little piece is a heart valve that's really in a heart, and that they're saving a life, and that they're doing things like that. Or even to go more mundane and less dramatic, it's part of a rearview mirror on a 3D printed car. You know, they're part of something exciting, necessary, and really, really, really important to manufacturing in general. And I think this broke through. I think there's a collective pride in the industry that we have not had in many, many years, and it's also being fueled by the fact the industry is growing. There is more manufacturing today in the United States than at any time in the last 7 years. That's true. And I think tying in with that, one other thing I'd like to cover just real quick is your student summit that you guys do. That's not something I've seen emphasized at a lot of shows, and I think that's very important when you're talking about the future of an industry. Can you tell us just a little bit about how the student summit fits in? Student summit is an integral part of IMTS. We as an industry continue to recognize the skills gap and the future gap of needed employees and the skills that they need. And our over the years, we have continued to look at ways to bring student level into IMTS because, again, part of it is the lack of excitement. It's one thing to tell a kid in school, you ought to go into this industry, you can make widgets and make a lot of money. It's quite another to say, if you go into this industry, you might be able to 3D print a car someday.
Exactly.
And that is the home run. And we've now done, with the Student Summit, we do a tremendous amount of floor space. We do some private rooms where they can see some videos, and they're given a run of the show. We welcome students, and we try to relate real-life events to the industry so that when they're thinking about it and they're telling their parents, I'm thinking about manufacturing, you're not telling them that you're thinking about going into this old, staid smokestack industry. You're going into an industry that 3D prints cars, that makes special apparatus to go rescue Chilean miners a mile underground. You're going into an industry that's making the newest space vehicles. You're going into an industry that makes artificial hearts, artificial knees, artificial hips. These are things that are much more relatable than saying, yeah, I machine metal to 1,000th of an inch.
Right. Well, and so what is the age range of the students that you bring in?
We go as low as junior high school, and they come in by bus. We set up some arrangements in advance. We also go, of course, through the high schools and tech schools, and then we have a separate outreach program for junior colleges. The events that have surrounded the Student Summit have expanded and expanded. For example, in the last show, we did a 5K run, and all of the proceeds of the run were donated to a technical school in the Chicagoland area.
Oh, neat.
So we're building bridges to the educational community. We have a full-time staff person now dedicated to it. We even have an acronym, if you will. It's called Smart Force, because the workers of the future aren't just a workforce. We can't survive if they're just a workforce. They have to be a smart force. They have to have the skills they need, and they have to have the ability to adapt, to understand, and to implement new manufacturing solutions.
Well, I think it's awesome. Like I said, I haven't seen a lot of shows doing that, so I wanted to make sure that we talked about the Student Summit because I think it's so important, especially in certain industries, to really push that future because, otherwise students may not be joining the industry in the numbers that are needed to keep it moving forward. So I think that it's great that you guys are being so proactive on that level.
Well, again, it goes back to our first moment of conversation in this interview. When you look at the show as a continuum, the industry needs people.
Right.
Our 6-day event does not need people. Our 6-day event is part of an industry that has identifiable problems, identifiable challenges, and we are part of that industry, so we participate in the challenges and hopefully the solutions.
And you're moving the industry forward, and I love that.
Well, AMT is really the voice of the manufacturing community, and we take that seriously.
Well, thank you so much, Peter. I think that everybody listening can definitely see why I chose IMTS and you, Peter, and your team to be featured as Trailblazers because you've shown us in many ways how you really are trailblazing, not only for the world of trade shows, but also in the world of associations as well. So I really want to thank you for taking your time out, especially getting ready to leave for China. I appreciate you taking time to do this interview.
You're very welcome, Marlise. It's been a pleasure.
If you'd like to spread the word about the Trade Show Insights podcast, please take a minute to leave a rating and/or review in iTunes. This helps to boost visibility so more people will find the show. Trade Show Insights is protected by the Creative Commons copyright license. You may feel free to share this recording with colleagues or embed on your own blog as long as it's shared in its entirety and is not used for commercial purposes. To learn more, please see the link in the sidebar of the show notes at tradeshowinsights.com. That's it for this episode of Trade Show Insights. Be sure to check out our show notes and archives at tradeshowinsights.com or connect with me using the social media links or contact page on the site. I'm Marlis Arnold. Thanks for listening, and be sure to join us next time for more tools to improve your exhibit results.